Welcome to the Bernard Lee Poker Show. We are fortunate to continue our interview. We had part one last week. We have part two this week with one of the best players in the world. David Peters has won over $34.5 million career wide. He has won 2 bracelets. He's also now the 2-time consecutive back-to-back USPO or United States Poker Open champion, overall champion. This time in 2021, he won 3 events and captured the crown. Welcome back to the show. David, thanks for joining us here again on the Bernard Lee Poker Show.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
We talked last week a lot about your development, how you started out playing online and then playing on the live circuit. And of course, after the Black Friday, how you decided to play a lot more live, and then really kind of your transition from medium to high stakes to really kind of what we see as the nosebleed stakes of the $25,000 to $100,000, $500,000 buy-ins, and really kind of that moment where you said you could feel like you could play with those guys. Before we get to those specifics, talk about your first bracelet win. 2016, 1,860 players, $1,500 buy-in event. Not your biggest score by any stretch of the imagination. You have had multiple 7-figure scores, a lot of 6-figure scores as well, but you win your first bracelet at the World Series, take home $412,000. But was this really a lifetime goal? Like, was this one of the top goals to win a bracelet?
Yeah, that was always, a goal of mine, and always kind of something that I kept getting close. I think I had probably every position at the final table of WSOP events, except first until that point. So it was kind of one thing that had, eluded me for a while. And so that was a very big moment in my career, and that was great.
Like you said, you had so many close calls. Did you feel like, and I think you said in some other interviews, I just felt like it was my time. It was going to happen. Was there no nerves at that final table because you've gotten so close, you've been there, like, whatever, it's going to happen eventually. If this is the time, this is the time.
Yeah, I mean, I try to just block it out anyways, and kind of just play my games. Whatever happens, happens, not gonna let that bother me. If I get second, if I get sixth, then, I'm just gonna kind of move on, go on to the next one type thing. But so, yeah, I think just kind of always having that mindset, helps to not let it, let the moment get to you. But yeah, it was to finally actually just get that win and see that last card hit, and had a big group of my friends over there cheering on me. So that was one of the biggest moments of my career for sure.
You had a rowdy crowd at this. People were talking about it and how everyone was there. Did that help? Did it hurt? I mean, it's kind of one of those like, oh, it's great that they're getting so into it, but sometimes it can be a bit much. But you had talked about that you really loved it. Was it just very helpful for you to have that crowd behind you?
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I didn't think it was too much. It was nice having such high energy when things were going well, or if I won a pot, or just it just made the experience more enjoyable, more fun.
Right.
Having your good friends there. Kind of going over to the rail and cheering, and like, if I won a big pot, or, right when I won the tournament, just, having everyone go crazy and just kind of trying, like, it just made for, a great memory having all of them there.
Right. I mean, you and Matt Affleck were down to the final 3, and Matt hadn't won a bracelet, and it obviously was a discussion among everyone with regards to that. Obviously, you getting through that. Do you know Matt well, and did you guys talk about it afterward?
I'm not like too close on that, but yeah, no, I definitely, know him and have played with him over the years, but I don't think we really talked about that. I think we were just playing, but yeah, no, that I'm sure that was a disappointing, finish. Every time you still chasing that first bracelet and you get that close, it's always going to be super disappointing to not get there. But
I
still have
know.
it.
Trust me. I know.
Yeah.
I think I saw you. No, maybe it was someone else, but I think I saw you that year when I came in runner up, and it was we were talking about a little bit. But let's talk a little bit about that year, 2016. You win your bracelet. You end up becoming GPI Player of the Year. It was an incredible year, just multiple first place finishes. Bellagio high roller for almost 400,000, Asia Championship in Macau for over 600,000, super high rollers at Aria for significant money, $500,000, $300,000. It just seemed that year, every single time we went on uh, a poker website. Oh, David Peter once again. Oh, what do you know? He did it again. Like it was an incredible year for you, just statistically. As you just won every single event, you weren't earned almost $8 million live. Talk about that year. Was it just one of those surreal years?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was a really really fun year, and it was nice to kind of finally. Feel like prior to that, I was making a lot of runs, and I was doing pretty well, for the most part. But I had a lot of like close calls to like big scores to like deep runs and high rollers, and so a lot of like very disappointing runs, and so it was nice to finally like kind of have like a breakout like year like that where I'm finally getting racking up a bunch of wins, and the final tables were closing them out more, not getting a lot of these bubbles like I had been getting, or
Right.
disappointing min cashes and things like that. So it was yeah, it was a big year to finally just like string together a bunch of wins and do so well.
Yeah, I mean that year, like I said, such an unbelievable year. So many high wins, etc. As you start playing from there, primarily you play in the high roller events. And does does the buy-ins now suddenly become a little numb? Like $10,000 in today's world. It used to be a decade and a half ago, $10,000 literally buy-ins were every other week, if not every week, twice a week. But they're a lot less nowadays. Even the WPT main events would used to always be 10,000, or now sometimes as low as 3,500. Um, and some quote unquote high rollers are like 5 to 10,000. How is it for you now that when you're buying in for that much money? Is it do you have to be numb to it? Because it's a lot of money, right?
Yeah, you have to just be numb to it. You have to you get used to it, and you kind of just don't really think about the money side of it, and you just go out there and play. And but yeah, if you're thinking about the money too much, or how much the buy-in is, or how much, then it can affect your game, and you can maybe play scared or not you know play the way you normally would play. And I think that might get to some people when if you're playing I played like $1 million tournament before, and some people might just kind of make them less likely to pull the trigger in a spot. Or
Right.
whereas I think that's something I'm good at, is just treating it like it's as any tournament. And I made the investment, that money's already in the prize pool. I'm either going to do well in the tournament or I'm not. So it's yeah. So you just, at that point, you just go out and play and just block that out.
Right. And from what I understand, I know that there's a lot of swapping that goes on tour at that high level, but there are a lot of people that sell pieces and are backed, et cetera. But from what I understand, that's not you. You put a lot of this yourself, right?
Yeah, I usually take pretty big pieces. I try it. I I don't sell too much, anymore, but I did earlier, in the past, and you still do for like the really, really big ones. But no, yeah, I think, swapping with other really good players helps reduce variance. So I still do that. But, a small enough swap to where I still have way more of myself than them.
Sure.
So it's not, doesn't really, it's not going to affect the way you play or anything. But no, that definitely helps like reduce the variance and without, selling at maybe, generally speaking, if you sell at a markup, you're selling at less than what you expect your ROI to be. So I try to, maximize that by just having big pieces of myself and swapping a lot.
Right.
But so I'm usually have a lot of my action.
At what point is it, I don't want to say not worth it, but that it doesn't get your blood to boil? Because obviously World Series bracelet events, different story. I'm sure you're going to play $1,000, $1,500, millionaire makers and things like that. But other events, does it have to be 10,000 now for it to really matter for you? Or no, you're more than happy to play a $2,500 event. No problem.
No, I still enjoy it. I think I'll still play a good amount of events. Maybe not from level one, like maybe I did in the past. But and it kind of depends what other options there are. But
Right.
no, I still enjoy it, especially the prestige of WSOP and trying to get another bracelet, and kind of just comes down to what my schedule is, what my options are, and you don't want to get too burnt out. So if there's other things going on, if I'm playing cash games or something, then you can't just play 24/7. So you might have to skip some events. But no, these events still get my blood boiling, and they're a lot of fun when you do make a run.
Right.
So,
Right.
so maybe not too exciting early on, but still enjoy it.
So let's talk about the USPO. It is definitely a big series that's played at the Poker Go studio. For people who don't know, you could obviously go on Poker Go and watch it there. But the U.S. Poker Open has very high buy-ins, $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 buy-ins for the events. And basically the top players in the world are playing them. This one in the 2021 U.S. Poker Open, there were pretty much all $10,000 buy-ins from No Limit to Pot Limit Omaha, Big Bet Mix, 8 games, short deck. And then at the end, there was a $25,000 no limit and a $50,000 no limit. The 2019 had some bigger buy-in events as well, including a bunch of $25,000 ones. And then the last two was a $50,000 and a $100,000 main event. When the U.S. Poker Open was first announced, was this just a big deal among all of these high roller players? Because, primarily you'd get these high roller events kind of at a stop, and then you'd go in and play one or two, maybe the main event and then the big event. But there weren't really so many in a row like this. Was it a big deal and exciting that you could play in like a week and a half, 2 weeks, like all these buy-ins, which ultimately, if you added them all up, could be over $1 million?
Oh yeah, it's definitely exciting. Definitely a series that I look forward to. Being able to play high rollers every day or every other day, or cram a bunch into a relatively short period of time. That's always great. Something to keep the action going every day, and you're not just a one-time thing. Whereas now you have to wait for the next series to play a big high roller.
Right.
So yeah, no, it's definitely something. Definitely a series, especially playing in the Poker Go studio. It's very comfortable, and I really enjoy playing there. So it's definitely one of the series I most look forward to.
Right. You see these players. So when you're playing in the USPO, you see a lot of these players multiple days in a row. You're playing with them. Some of these guys you're playing at the same table almost every single day, just because the fields are so much smaller. They're all under 100. One of the events you won this year in the 2021 broke the record in the field size at 99. Of all these players out there, is there a player or two that just always has your number? Like, just God, obviously because of variance and circumstances, they always just somehow bad beat you or get you or whatever it is. Is there always one you're like, oh, not him again at my table?
Um, yeah, I guess Foxen has always been kind
Oh
of
yeah.
that person for me. Just kind of, could never really win the big flip versus him, or the
Right.
big all in, or kind of just cooler me in really big equity situations. But I think Kerry Katz is one who
Oh yeah.
kind of just seems to always have one pip higher than me. Like I always have like a big hand that like I can never fold. He just has a little bit
Yeah,
better.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
that has been very frustrating and annoying. But yeah, those are the two that come to mind.
What about the other way around? Was there a player that you always feel like, ugh, I always beat this guy. Like it's always unlucky for him, you know? Maybe Sean Winter because he just finished runner-up twice to you in the USPO. You had to win in 2019 to get in. This one you beat him out too. But is there any other? I don't know if it is Sean. Maybe that's just coincidence. But
Um, I haven't played much with him lately, but I think like Igor Kurganov, I feel like he was someone that I would just kind of always like have cooler him in spots, or kind
yeah,
of just
yeah,
he can never just seem to win those flips for some. So yeah, I think
yeah.
we all kind of have someone that on both ends.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And again, not saying one's better than the other. It's just unfortunate and unlucky that it kind of always happens.
Yeah.
Let's talk about 2009 quickly. Sorry, 2019. 2019, you are playing, and Sean Winter is just having an incredible series. He has 5 cashes, and really going into that final $100,000 main event, really kind of has it in everyone's mind locked up. If he cashed, he would definitely have had it locked up. He falls short of cashing, and you make the final table and realize, wait a second, if I win it, it kind of the um, Greg Merson scenario with Phil Hellmuth at the World Series. If I win it, I not only win the main, but I also win the player of the series. I guess the first question is, while you're playing that main, is that even in your mind, or you're like, well, whatever, I'm just trying to, I want to win anyway. The winning, player of the series, it doesn't mean anything. Let's just do what you have to do. Was it even in your mind, or was it like, doesn't matter?
No, I mean, it was in my mind. It wasn't gonna affect my. I mean, aside from the added money to winning,
Right.
changes. Yes,
Which was $100,000, a little bit of an extra bonus right there.
yeah. So so it makes you more incentivized to play for the win because of that than normal. So, but aside from that, like adjustment, it was something that was in my head that like, it would be really cool if I won, but it wasn't gonna affect the way I played, especially when it's such a big buy-in,
Right.
playing for so much money that you're just focused on that tournament, and it wasn't really thinking about it much.
Right. And just to put everyone into perspective, you won the $100,000 bonus, but it was 1.3 million for first. So it's not like that $100,000 was going to be such incredible amount of money. You were already winning $1.3 million. So it was just kind of like a little added bonus to it.
Yeah.
Um, Winning the USPO, did you ever expect that, like going into this? Obviously you're hoping for it, but was that kind of the goal going into this thing, or was it more of like, let's have fun playing in all of these events?
I mean, yeah, it's always it's always the goal, but mainly I'm just going out there and just playing and having fun, enjoying it, trying to play my best, trying to do as well as I can, and then just hope for the best, see what happens, type thing.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, that was just my mindset, and then I started getting points, and then thought it would be cool if I could make a run, but yeah, mainly I'm just focusing on the tournaments.
Obviously, you win the event, you get through it. Were you looking forward to coming back in 2020? Obviously, COVID put a wrench in that, but coming back and playing in the USPO in 2020?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you want to come back and defend your title and play another great series. Um, yeah, this is one of the definitely, like I said before, one of the more fun, one of the more enjoyable series.
Right.
So it's disappointing to have this and all these other series canceled,
Right.
along with just all poker in general. So
Right. Right.
so yeah, it was obviously disappointing to kind of have things come to a halt for a
Right.
bit.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk with David about his 2021 series. Incredible series, 4 cashes with 3 wins, and locking up the player, the series, and also had a little bit of a sweat down the end for himself. But we'll talk about that when we come back, when we return here on the Bernard Lee Poker Show.